Why do you still partake in drinking?
Stuff happens in life and we justify why we do certain things. So I understand that it could at any time, become a problem.
I think a lot of us, unfortunately, do turn to alcohol as the source of peace. We run to it to calm us. Your day isn't dictated by alcohol.
Mhm.
Like a lot of ours was like, oh, is it 5 o'clock? Oh, heck, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, nope, it's noon. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
just going to start at 7 a.m. Let's go for it. It's not like everything's not revolved around drinking like a lot of us are.
Even when I stopped drinking and smoking at 21, I still had a problem. It was like this really shameful thing. If you're attaching like your worth to a substance and you're feeling like this shame or this disconnection from God and you're going to this substance to like prove its point that you really are as bad as you think you are, I think that's a problem.
Today I have Angie from Angie Montanez on YouTube. She also has In the Rough podcast. So now we get to hear her story, and I'm super excited. Angie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, I know that you stopped drinking early 20s.
Yes. So I don't know how far to go back. I'll just go back like as a kid, I was kind of like a happy, goofy kid. So I liked to be carefree. I wasn't like serious or structured. I liked to make like my family laugh, my sisters laugh, like whatever I could do to just lighten up the mood. That's how I was, but in certain situations, if I didn't know people, I would withdraw into myself and not really share who I was. And so about when I was in 3rd grade, we ended up moving from Texas to Wisconsin, and I did okay during that move because I feel like I was still young enough to do that transition pretty well. And then we moved again when I was going into 7th grade to no, we moved to another city in Wisconsin. So then that move was a lot harder for me. So normally, being more carefree, that side of myself that I just naturally am when I'm comfortable, I became more like enclosed in myself, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I had a hard time making friends. I felt like completely insecure. I grew up in a Christian home, so I knew God. I talked to him, I prayed to him, I believed in him. But when, this second move happened and I had a hard time making friends, I started to compromise on my convictions about what was right and wrong. And I think I was like 16 or 17, I started smoking pot and drinking and then getting into some other drugs and like shoplifting and just doing these things that because I felt so insecure and I found some friends who would accept me and we could be carefree, I guess, together, then I just went down that path. And I, because I remember at one point, one of my friends would shoplift from a store, and then she's like, "Why are you not doing it?"
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, I would feel bad." And she's like, "Well, you would feel bad if you got caught, right?" And I was like, "No, I would just feel bad." And then I remember that conversation, and then I remember it wasn't too long after that that I decided to just compromise my convictions because I wanted to be accepted.
Right.
Um, I wanted to not be stressed out. I wanted to have friends. So from about 16 to 21, 21 is when I stopped smoking pot and drinking. Cigarettes took longer because that was like a harder habit to break. But when I turned 21, my mom was praying for me. She's like, God has more for you in your life. So she started planting seeds, and then eventually I moved out of the state that I was in and I moved back to Texas. So I feel like, and I know for me, I had to physically remove myself to not be around temptations. And I know some people maybe can do it without having to move or like physically remove themselves, but I feel like it's a good idea. I think it's a good way to remove yourself from the situation and then just redirect and start over where you feel like God is calling you, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. So my husband and I talk about something similar because we moved to Idaho almost 7 or 8 years ago. And we were just talking about we probably wouldn't have quit drinking had we not moved, given we didn't quit drinking right away. But I
Yeah.
mean, if we were still in that same patterns, same groups and stuff, I don't think we would have quit drinking.
Yeah, it would be really hard
Yeah.
because the opportunity would be there. And if it's there, it's a lot easier than if you just don't even give yourself the opportunity.
Yeah, because every time we
So,
go back, everybody's still just doing the exact same thing, living the same
yeah.
life. I mean, we're the ones that moved away. And I think I've done like vlogs on that also. But so what led you to want to share your story in sobriety and faith?
So recently, okay. So like I said, it was drinking wasn't as much of a thing for me as it was smoking pot, like getting high every day. That was more my thing. And so physically removing myself from the situation, marijuana is not was not legal at 21 when I was 21. And so, I've been following God for like 20 years now. There had never been opportunities for me to smoke weed because I'm in a completely different place. There's no opportunities, right? And that was, like, something that I told myself I would never, ever get high again. Like, I would have dreams of getting high again and just feeling really guilty and, like, afraid, like, that is the one thing that I told myself you can't do again, or it's like you're backtracking. So, I think it was like 2018, CBD and THC became legal in certain quantities in certain states, and I remember, like, seeing different stores open up, and I told myself, "Okay, CBD, the part of the cannabis plant that just relaxes you, that would be okay, like, if I had CBD products to relax. But if it had THC in it," I told myself, "I'm not gonna touch that." Like, that to me, I know that that can get you high, so I'm not gonna go backwards. So anyways, I moving along, I'm using some CBD products. I've never had, like, I wouldn't think a problem with alcohol, but what got me thinking about the sober journey was I would have, like, a couple glasses of wine a night, and then I was thinking, I can have tendencies to go too far with things. So then I started looking up alternatives to wine because I didn't, even though alcohol hasn't been something that really is a problem area for me, I know that anybody can fall into it at any time if they don't have a handle on it. So then I started looking into substitutes, right? Like what is like having a glass of wine, but's not having a glass of wine. And now it's huge. If you look into that, there's so many different products, which
Yeah.
some of them I think are really great and can help you relax. And then there's other products that like can get you high or they can get you. I haven't tried any of the mushroom ones, but there's some that look like this trippy, like it almost takes you on this drug trip or something. But so, anyways, I've been going down just like researching that stuff. And I've talked to other Christians, and they, I'm going to try to figure out how to say this. So, I don't feel like maybe what God's convicting me of, if it's a gray area, maybe He's not convicting you of the same thing, and vice versa.
Mm.
So, like, maybe He's telling me no for something, but for you, maybe that's not a problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I was talking to just some other Christians, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think of THC?" And some of my Christian people are like, "Well, I think it's totally okay, right? It's legal. You could just take it before bed. It'll help you sleep better. It'll help the pain." So most people that I talked to were on the side of, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I don't know if those people ever made a vow to themselves not to get high again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people understand what that can actually do to you and the mindset that it can put you in. So I started asking God, I'm like, I don't want to be too legalistic and not have anything, right? I don't want to be like too afraid to do anything or think that everything is going to like send me to hell. I don't want to be that way, but I also want to listen to your voice and know when you're telling me that something's not good for me. So I start contemplating in my mind and I'm thinking like, why can't I just have some THC, right? Like if it's in products and maybe it can help with pain, maybe it can help with sleep, like why can't I substitute it for a glass of wine? So then these thoughts start coming in my head. And then I started praying to God and I was like, God, why do we have to be sober? I know logically why we have to be sober. Like, I can't get drunk or get high and get behind in my car and start driving and think that everything's going to be okay and I'm not putting anybody else in danger or myself. I know logically, like, why not to do those things, but why not from a standpoint of life is stressful and not to be, like, legalistic about it, like, why can't we have these things? Like, why can't we have fun? And I started talking to God about that and asking him about that, like, why? I kind of understand, right? Like, logically, why to be sober, but why from you, God? Like, why? Why? And I was just, still doing my research with all this stuff, and then one morning, I woke up and he put a Bible verse on my mind. And I thought it was cool because I don't get that all the time, but I knew, like, this was from him. This
Mhm.
was his answer to me for why be sober, and let me find it. Oh, it's First Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be alert. Your
I
adversary, the devil, is prowling around like a roaring lion looking for anyone he can devour.
I was just
So
gonna
it's
ask
like,
you about that verse.
yes. And that makes a lot of sense to me. It's not God's not trying to like take our fun away. It's a door that we're opening up to the enemy if we get out of our mind. If we get out of our mind, if we're drunk, if we're high, any way that we get out of our mind, right? We're opening up a door to allow the enemy to come into our lives or to operate with us because we're not alert. Like we're not in our right mind. And so moving along, I got that Bible verse. I was like, okay, cool. I did a couple episodes on my podcast about why be sober. And then I interviewed you. I came across your channel. And I like how part of your story is, doing the 75 hard. So you did the challenge, the fitness
Mhm.
challenge. And then through that challenge, you stopped drinking. Um, and so recently with me, I'm 43. I just turned 43.
I would never guess you
Like,
were 43.
yeah, like 3 weeks ago. So the night before I turned 43, my body, like everything in my body was killing me. Like every joint, like I get this maybe like every other week, just randomly my body will ache. And I don't know if it's like inflammation. I don't know what it is, but everything in my body hurt. And so I tried everything. Like I tried my sleeping aid. I tried kava, which is like a natural,
It's like a root.
um,
It's a root of a plant.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I even like took a swig of NyQuil or something. I was like, this is not good. I cannot sleep and my body hurts. So, anyways, I woke up the next day and it was my birthday. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of my body hurting. I don't know if this was me giving myself an out, but I was like, I am going to try some THC to see if it
Mm.
helps the pain go away, right? And I'm like, and I'm not going to be legalistic about it today. So I get a can of THC and it says drink a fourth of the can and see how you react, right? But I was thinking, I know what I'm doing. I don't. So I drank like three-fourths of the can because I'm like, what? I mean, the way that it's being promoted is you're going to be able to just relax, right? Like, take some pain away, just relax. It's like having a drink with your girlfriends, but not having a drink.
Right.
So, oh my gosh. So I was with my husband and my daughter, and we were running around town doing errands and stuff. Thankfully, I wasn't driving, but it was like my 20-year-old self jumped into my 40-year-old body, and I got so high. Like, it was just like a blast from the past, and I wasn't freaking out, but I told my husband, I'm like, "This is the thing I said I didn't wanna do, and I'm not sober by any means, like, I'm super high right now. I thought maybe it would just take my pain away." And he's like, it's fine, you're gonna be okay." So anyways, I get through that whole process, and what I said to God was I was waiting in the car. This is stupid, but I don't know, like, when you get high, you get paranoid,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
and plus, you get, like, where everything slows down. So, for instance, my husband ran into a store with my daughter, and I was like, "I'm not good to go into the store," because I was kinda paranoid, and I was slowing down, everything was slowing down. So I was sitting in the car for, like, probably, like, 20 minutes trying to tell myself that I did have the ability to get out of the car. All I had to do was go in, get a drink, use the bathroom, and I was completely capable of that. Like, that is the thought process going on. And I'm talking to God too, and I'm asking God, I'm like, "Are you gonna kill me?" I know that sounds extreme, but in my mind, I was like, "This is the thing. If I did this, that it was like I was turning my back," right? Like, it was like
Mhm.
that was the area for me that was gonna mess it all up. And, um, so anyways, I feel like he was with me in it, right? Like, not that he's promoting it, but I felt like he was with me in it that day. And I was like, "Okay, so now I understand, like, why I'm not gonna, have access to these products." And then I did try, like, a couple other THC products that were less dosages, and those didn't really get me to that extreme. But then I started to think, am I going down the wrong path? Like, because it's legal now, am I taking this as an opportunity to let my mindset be outside of what God has for me? And so I started doing where I'm like, I'm not going to have any THC products for, I think I started on August 4th. No, I'm sorry, July 4th. And I was like, I'm not going to have any of those products, and I'm going to really like think about it. I'm going to pray about it because I don't really feel like it's for me. I don't feel like
Yeah.
God's gonna condemn me for it, but I don't feel like it's gonna keep me sober-minded. I don't feel like it's gonna keep me alert for what God is doing in the world and what he wants to do with me. So, and I think too, like in God's word, I forget where it says it, but it tells Christians to be watchful, like be expectant in the end times and when Christ is gonna return. So if I'm just using any substance to have a better day
Yeah.
or help with pain or any of those things and I'm no longer sober, um, then I'm just opening up doors, right? And God has kept me good so far, but who's to say, anything could happen to any of us, and I hope that makes sense, but
Oh, it does.
that's where I've been just in my mind thinking about why be sober, and then too, at the same time, what is okay to have, right? Like, and I think it's going to be anything that doesn't put me out of my mind that doesn't, where I'm not still alert and I'm still able to think clearly. It's more about, self-control. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. And like I get tons of comments from people and a lot of them are like, "Well, just smoke weed." And for some of us, I mean, sounds like you're the same as me. Like it just doesn't work for me. It makes me paranoid, it slows me down. Like I haven't tried it completely sober yet. So, I mean,
Yeah.
cuz it was just something I did when I would drink. So I did it on a road trip to try to calm down like probably back in 21, I think, and I
Yeah.
hated the way it made me feel. Just
Yeah.
hated it, and it was a gummy, but I just think you're right, it's a sober mind, and a lot of people misconstrue that, I think, like, they're like, "Oh, well, you know, God turned water into wine." It's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, were these people drunk?"
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
or did they just have a sip of wine, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just like communion, I mean, some people there was a church back in Oregon before we left, they would give you grape juice or wine,
Yeah.
and so, I mean, like, a little bit of wine, but if you have a problem with alcohol, probably not the
Yes.
best thing to do, and I don't know if they
Yes.
still do it, this was, like, years ago, like, at least 9 years ago, so, yeah, I think a sober mind is very powerful, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I know Critic will probably watch this, he posts a lot of Bible verses on my comments,
Yeah.
and it's always one that has stuck with us. I kinda wanna get into the like, how bad it actually got before it got better.
So for me, it was every day, all day, and then getting actually depressed instead of it being fun, just not really being myself anymore, like looking in the mirror at night, getting ready for bed, and like not even looking like the same person. And I think it just completely, yeah, taking over my my thought process. Like I think it's such a mindset, the way that you're viewing the world and the way that you're viewing your interactions with people and the way you view God. To me, it's like I don't know if it makes sense, like a mindset. So
Mhm.
I didn't recognize myself at all is is how bad it got for me.
Did you have people tell you that you had a problem, or did you get in trouble for shoplifting ever?
No, I never did, and I never got in trouble with the law, with any of the other stuff that I did, until I did get arrested one time when we were trying to go to Ozfest, and that was a thing in itself because at that point in time, I had said to God, I was like, "I wanna follow your way," right? Like, "I wanna follow what purpose you have for me, but I just wanna have, like, one last party with my friends." And so that was the only time that I ever got arrested, but it was enough to where I was gonna be stuck there and not be able to fly back home to Texas and, follow God how I wanted to follow him. So that that kind of, like, showed me, like, it's not you can't just say, like, "God, at this certain time, I'm gonna follow you," or at, like, this certain time, I'm gonna get things right with you. With him, he just wants us to start where we're at, right?
Right.
And so I think for me, I don't think God put it on me to say, "You can never have any THC products ever again, or I'm gonna disown you." I think I put that into the equation because when I got arrested, I remember telling God, like, "If you get me out of here this night, like, I will never smoke pot again." So, and then I did get out, and then what did we do? We went and smoked pot. So, it's and that's where I go back to, like, I had to physically remove myself from the area to be able to pursue what God had for me.
So I get lots of testimonies of people praying and asking God to help them out, like in their recovery. and we just had a sermon. Our sermon at church was religion versus just your relationship with God, and
Okay.
how religion gives, like those, strict religions, just you're living by a legal way, not just a relationship with God. And
Mhm.
it just like really opened. So everybody that like, attacks people for believing in God or sharing their testimonies, it's like, well, I think they probably had a bad taste of like hardcore religion, not just an actual relationship.
Yeah, that's very true. I
And
agree. Yeah.
because there's proof in him healing people. I mean, they're all over my podcasts, like so many of them. You quit everything at 21 besides that you drank those THC drinks.
Yeah, so I mean, I still would drink periodically, but I wouldn't drink to party or get drunk. I would just have, like a couple glasses, but it was never like you're gonna be drinking to get completely messed up. It was just,
You
I'm
were
just gonna have
a
a couple
normie.
glasses. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I didn't, yeah, and so I stopped smoking pot when I was 21. And then, yeah, not until recently did I try any of the THC.
You grew up being a Christian. And so it's always, I mean, I grew up being a Christian too. It's such a healing journey, and you started at such an early age, and you've had children through, you being sober. So what is your, like, you said just like a couple glasses of wine and, you could take it or leave it. What does that like look like nowadays?
It looks like literally like a couple glasses of wine or like 2 White Claws or just like a couple drinks, and then I don't want it anymore after that, like, sometimes maybe a third, right? But it never and when you get older, I can tell on my body more that it just doesn't
Mhm.
make me feel good. So it's not a big temptation for me.
Right. So for those that, I mean, I know this is like a huge thing. Like some people are like, well, I can still have, a couple glasses here and there,
Mhm.
or some are still in denial about how much they drink. I mean, I've been there. But knowing that it comes with like health risks and getting older, it's like you can feel it in your body. Do you, People are going to ask, like, why do you still partake in drinking?
Probably because it's there and I'm not, like, drawn to it, but if it's provided, like, I'm at an event or somebody's house or a family thing and it's provided, then I'm gonna have it. I guess that would be the answer.
Yeah.
Or if, like, one day I'm at the grocery store and I'm getting some stuff for dinner and I'm like, "You know what? I feel like some, like, peach wine or whatever. I'll grab some and bring it home." Because for me, it hasn't gotten to a point where this is a problem in my life, but I understand that it could be. It could become that at any time, right? Like, stuff happens in life, and we justify why we do certain things, so I understand that it could, at any time, become a problem if I turn to it as the source of my peace.
Yeah. That's, I think a lot of us unfortunately do turn to alcohol as the source of peace,
Mhm.
and we run to it to calm us, or, you know, your day isn't dictated by alcohol.
Mhm.
Like a lot of ours was like, oh, is it 5 o'clock? Oh, heck, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, nope, it's noon. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna start at 7 a.m. Let's go for it. And your day, like your weekends probably you don't look forward to drinking on the weekends. It's not like everything's not revolved around drinking like a lot of us are. I mean, it
Mhm.
sounds like you are well grounded in, your faith and sharing your journey through your faith. So, like, what spiritual practices have helped you stay grounded?
Going to church, but I think going to the right church. a place where I'm growing, a place where I feel God's peace and maybe like sorrow over certain sins, but not a place where it's like you feel like this pressure and this condemnation. But the churches that we talk about God's grace, right? It's by grace through faith we're saved, not of our works. And so for me, going to church helps because it gets me back in the mindset of I need to focus on what God is doing in every day and not get sidetracked, right? And so that helps me. I did a Bible study last year with a group of women, like older women, which was great because like they've got all these different experiences than me. But I did a Bible study last year with online with some women, and that really helped me because when you're in reading the Bible, it just and you hear God speaking to you, you can confirm that it is him because he's not going to go against what it says in his word. So if you're reading the word, you're kind of more in tune to what he is saying and you can confirm what he is saying, if that makes sense. And then praying, I pray, I talk to him. But like I said, my problem a lot has been this legalistic approach. Like you said, am I just following the law or am I having a relationship with him? And so that is why I've been on this pathway, just, considering what is sober because I don't want to be legalistic about it. But at the same time, I am following after him. So I do have to acknowledge what he says in his word and do that. And then especially if I'm going to be sharing my faith with other people, I need to like stay on the straight and narrow. But here's another thing. I don't want to get too much off topic, but the reason I started my podcast, I'm a Christian, but I'm not perfect, obviously, right? Like I knew at 21 God wanted to do more in my life. So I tried following after him, but I went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of like what it means to be a leader for God and getting caught up in pride and like the image of what you're supposed to be in the church. And that really leads you farther away from him than closer to him. And then just be realizing that I have nothing to give, only what Christ has done for me. That's my fuel. And so going through the process of like following after God, but getting caught up in what a leader should be, and then realizing that I'm not that. My only hope is in him because I mess up all the time. So my podcast over these years of doing all this, I don't want to be a Christian that is going to pretend like I have it all together. Like I want to be honest about what my journey is like and what I'm striving towards and be honest when I have mess ups and talk about times when God has come through for me. But it's in the rough with Angie because we're all works in progress. Like I thought that when I wanted to follow after God that I had to be like this perfect image that I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does.
It's not. We're all works in progress. So I would never want to be like a Christian that pretends to have it all together because I certainly don't, but I'm striving towards his truth and what he has for me and letting go of the things that I'm bound by. Like I get caught up with, like you said, like the law. Like instead of just talking to him and having a relationship with him, I'm like, well, what can I get away with? Like what's okay, what's not okay? And then that whole thing gets really confusing. And that too is why I wanted to just like for 30 days tell myself I'm not going to have any of these type of products. I'm just going to focus on like praying and talking to God because certain things can cloud what we're even hearing from him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a pretty deep topic.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you define sobriety as a Christian woman?
That's a good question. For me, I would define it as not being out of my mind, still being of good judgment. Yeah, not
But what
no.
what about those Christian women? I mean, no, I mean, I I've been here. So, what about those Christian women that, just preach God all week long and then come the weekend and are just like out of their mind?
Yeah, I know, and that's why I wanna be honest in my journey because I do know that he is the way, truth, and life, but I know that I mess up, and I don't want anybody to try to follow after me because I'm not gonna lead you anywhere good. I want people to follow after him, like, talk to him, and I feel bad for certain leaders that in 2020, it felt like everything was getting, like, exposed, right? Like, all these Christian leaders were, like, getting called out for certain things, getting arrested for certain things, and it's because for a season of time, and I think we continue to do this, we'll put people that and people will either try to say like, "Hey, I'm the one that hears from God, so you need to talk to me, and I'll tell you what God said," or they'll allow other people to puff them up into this position that is above everybody else, right? Like, God is really working through me, but he may not be working through you. Like, I have access to him, but you may not have access to him unless you listen to me. And so I think a lot of that has gotten exposed. And a lot of the reason why I want to be honest and truthful on my journey because it's not me. I don't want anybody to follow me. I want people to talk to him, talk to God.
Right.
So if I'm sharing my story, it's so that you can have a conversation with God and like not stop having a conversation. Like if the worst happens in your life, don't stop having a conversation. If you mess up, don't stop having a conversation. Like keep talking to him.
Right. That's I one of the guys that I did a podcast with, and it just when I talked to him in person about it, it just like it I don't know, it just did something to me and it's just stuck with me and I love sharing this even though he shared his story with us when he was in the field full of cows and he just was like rock bottom, like, like I need help. And he just cried out and asked for help and he's never drank since.
Wow, that's
And he's like,
awesome.
I had all these cow eyes staring at me. And like it's just like an open field out in California somewhere and just, on his knees, just begging for help. And
I
he's
love
been
that.
sober since. And every time I like think about it, it just gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I like sometimes I wish I had like this big moment where I knew God like picked it all up for me, but I don't really have like a specific day or time or I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know the day and the hour and the time and the place, right? Like I
Right.
just know I need him and I need to talk to him every day and seek him every day and do my best sharing him with other people. But sometimes I have wished, like, that I would have had something that was just so miraculous happen, right? Because and then say, like, I never ever had the desire to ever again do this or that. I get tempted every day by a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's I love those stories because they give so much hope, and I wish that sometimes I could have something like that, but a lot of us, I think, are just in the process of continuing on. I think God will give each of us memorable moments to
Yeah.
hold on to, but sometimes it's not like this miraculous thing that happens to us. A lot of times it's talking to Him every day and asking for guidance and I think what you did, the 75 hard, it's like fasting because you're saying, this thing in my life is not doing anything good for me. So for this period of time, I'm going to take it out of the equation.
Right.
And then that in itself, whether it be alcohol, whether it be social media, if something in your life is taking over and you can't hear what your purpose is and maybe you can't hear God, then I think saying like for this amount of time, I'm going to cut it out and see what happens, right? And
Right.
then see how clear my thoughts can be.
Mine became very clear and I realized how much alcohol was not serving my life. I think, once people have a clear mind, they can realize the damage alcohol is doing.
Mhm.
And, everybody's journey is different. Yours started earlier than a lot of ours, but then I have somebody in my members only group that started at 41. So he was technically your age when he started drinking.
Yeah.
And now he's been sober for a couple months, but like it doesn't matter when you start, like how rock bottom you get. You don't have a problem with alcohol. You knew the way your life was going. A lot of us don't realize how destructive we are until we're completely out of it, which I think I kind of mentioned on the podcast I did on yours. Like, you just don't realize which direction you're going until you
Mhm.
have a clear mind. And then you're like, oh my gosh, alcohol was terrible. Or any other drug, for instance. I mean,
Right.
you just don't know until you have that clear head and you're doing the work. And without 75 hard, I don't think, I mean, it's such a mental toughness challenge that it's so structured that it does help. A lot of people need that structure.
Mhm.
And it's helped me and it's helped other people that I've shared on my podcast also. But, you stopping at 21 and like, the drugs and stuff. Did you do other drugs also?
I did, but the main thing was smoking pot all day.
Yeah. I mean, so many people just mix them all.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'd be at parties in high school and everybody would be smoking cigarettes and pot and being like the
Yeah.
girls would be doing shots together. And so, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the things that we did. And, some of us just kept it going. We lived in our high school days for years.
Yeah, I know. And have you talked with anybody on here about them stopping drinking, but then switching to marijuana? Like, do you and then ever seen a problem with it? Or does it seem like people say that I'm using this and I'm getting high, but it's okay because I'm not drinking?
I don't know if I have exact podcasts, but I know people that definitely are like, well, weed's much better than alcohol. And I think it just depends on how dependent you are on anything. If you're dependent on cigarettes versus the person that just smokes like once a month. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're literally smoking pot every single day and have to get through life just like those of us that are dependent on alcohol, I mean, it becomes a problem. Anything becomes a problem. I mean,
Right.
social media becomes a problem. Shopping
Yeah.
becomes a problem. Sex becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Sugar becomes a problem. I mean, so, but it is funny. So many people close to me, I'm not going to name names, but literally smoke pot every single day. And
Yeah.
it's okay because it's legal in that state. And it, but seeing the potential of their life and how much better their life could be without it,
Mhm.
I see that, but they don't see that because they're just that's all they've known for years.
Yeah.
Probably since high school. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't judge anybody that does because obviously I've tried it again, but I do notice a difference that in my mindset. So it's not if you're high, you're not sober. You're not. Like whether you try to say it or not, you aren't. Like you're not in your right headspace. You're not, like it took me at least 20 minutes to decide I could get out of the car. Like that's not sober. That's not,
No.
you know, and that's why recently I've been thinking about it because it is legal, but it can send you down another pathway. Like maybe you're not drinking, but if you're high every day, are you getting stuff done, Like, has it slowed you down? Is your mindset different? Like, are you hearing different thoughts? Are you thinking different things than what you do when you're clear-minded, And I'm not trying to, like, preach about it other
Mhm.
than I know for me, alcohol's not a problem, but I could see that for myself personally, with what I enjoy, that could be a problem. So that's why it's like for me, I told myself that would be the thing I couldn't go back to, right?
I think too many of us just use, we stop one and use another one.
Right.
And, well, I don't drink anymore, but weed's nothing. Or, well, I stopped
Yeah.
smoking weed and I just drink some beers here and there.
Yeah.
It's just like, it boggles my mind because I think they call it sober or California sober or something.
Okay.
And because I don't know, it's just okay. Well, just because you don't drink, but you're just gonna get stoned all day. I do have back when I was in high school, I had this boyfriend, and he didn't really hold jobs too good because all he cared about was smoking weed, and like so many people that I know from my hometown just wanted to smoke weed and then they couldn't get jobs. I mean, I think it's still on a federal level, it's not legal. So a lot of places you can't hold a job. But then when
Right.
they get cleaned up and they don't smoke, then their life just 10x's just like when you give up alcohol.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't think one is worse than the other. I think it just depends on the person's personality when it comes to using it as a vice.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, just because you don't feel bad the next day doesn't mean that eventually you won't start to feel bad about it, or not eventually it might not start to affect your I'm doing too many like knots. Eventually it may affect your life in a negative way, right? Like if you feel like you're not parenting the right way, if like you're forgetting things, if you're taking forever to get motivated, you know. But now it's being promoted that you can pretty much have a gummy at all hours of the day to do different things that have like different percentages of different like CBD or THC in it. And it's promoted now as like just a natural way to get through the day, right? And that's really, it sounds really good, but it's eventually going to take you on a path that you're relying on it and your mindset is going to be thinking things. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but just from my personal experience is it's not, at least think about it. At least like pray about it. Like, God, is this for me or not for me? Because it's, I don't
Something
know.
just something just came to my mind. Nobody tests you for like when you go to get a job, nobody tests you for alcohol, but they test you for other drugs.
Oh, that's true.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know like how it, I mean, what my last credit union job was back in 2019 and they drug tested me. But I mean, I'm sure I had alcohol in my system. I just think that it's just a huge controversial thing and people can agree to disagree. Like if
Hmm.
weed works for you and it's not causing a problem in your life, that's cool. If you can be a normal person and just have a beer here and there, that's cool. But if you're going to start using it as an excuse for everyday life and not realize how bad of a relationship you actually have with the substance, then I think it's time to like look in the mirror and realize what's actually happening because too many of us are I think I just did a comparison or maybe I didn't do a comparison, but it doesn't matter if you drink whiskey or wine or beer or smoke weed. It's all a substance altering our minds, and we eventually will get addicted to it and use it as, it's our best friend. It's our only thing
Yeah.
that we want in our life. We don't care about anybody else.
Yeah. And if I take this or if I have this, I'm going to be okay. Or
Right.
I'm going to be okay for as long as this substance is in my body, then I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be at peace. And those type of thoughts come in too.
Did you ever feel like conflicted or isolated in your walk with God in sobriety? Did you ever feel isolated or conflicted?
Not isolated, but conflicted, like with the THC, particularly the THC conflicted recently about, if that's okay or that's not okay. But what I was going to bring up, I think if you feel shame attached to a certain thing, that's a problem. Like there's something there that needs to be figured out because even when I stopped drinking and smoking at 21, I still had a problem where I would turn to cigarettes and I would
Mhm.
hide it. And it was like this really shameful thing where I think, like, if you have a cigarette here and there, probably not a problem, right? But if you're attaching, like, your worth to a substance and you're feeling like this shame or this disconnection from God and you're going to this substance to, like, prove its point that you really are as bad as you think you are, then I think that should be I think that's a problem. I think it should be analyzed
Mhm.
if it's any substance, right? Like, so that was how it was with cigarettes. For me, it was like this shame was attached to it. If I felt like I wasn't maybe pursuing God or following him the right way, let me smoke a cigarette because it was like I'm already shamed, right? Like I'm already out of order, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. What would you say to someone who feels God nudging them towards sobriety, but they're scared?
I would say start talking to him, and I would say find another Christian to pray with you and ask if you can be accountable to them because I think accountability is huge. So maybe you can't like physically remove yourself from your situation, but that's when God can do miracles, right? Like if you can't
Mhm.
physically get out of it, he can physically take it from you. So I would say talk to him, ask him what the next steps are, and then get the help that you need spiritually. Get another Christian to pray for you and maybe help keep you accountable. And then, like, if you need something else, like an antidepressant or something like that, like medically, like go to a doctor and do
Okay.
that as well. And that would be my advice.
I like that. Somebody just asked me the other night about like Xanax.
Yeah.
And okay, so is it okay to still use, my anxiety meds to go use them as a tool to go to events and stuff instead of alcohol?
Mhm.
And that's a really good question because I mean, it's not going to make you black out. It's not going to make you do stupid things, but it's going to
Mhm.
relax you if you literally have social anxiety. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a prescription as long as you're not abusing it because and Quit Like a Woman, she mentions somebody told her that she's not sober because she's still on prescriptions. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, some people need prescriptions.
Mhm.
And so am I not sober because I take ADHD medicine and antidepressant?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that prescriptions are there to be used, the way they're supposed to be used. Um, but
I
it's a
agree.
really good it's a really, big thought. Like, are you sober?
Yeah, and I went through maybe like at least 10 years where I was off of antidepressants because I thought they were blocking me from God. Like I thought that I couldn't fully like get to know him unless I was fully off of everything. So I went through years where I didn't take anything and I just sought God outright, but I never completely got delivered from the stress and the anxiety that I would have. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, it was like, okay, you know how you get a lot of moms will get depression. I got
Mhm.
anxiety so bad. It was like all this my OCD tendencies came
Yeah.
back. And in order to be an effective mom, I was like, I felt like I am okay to take something to
Mhm.
get my process back level, where I'm, like, level and can actually function, right? And it's not like I'm out of my mind, but something there is helping my brain chemicals, and it doesn't take away from my relationship with God, even though that was my big fear. And I know that's a big topic where people are like, "Well, you shouldn't have anything at all." Well, what is God telling you? Like, and what's going on in your life? Like, are you mentally sound? Like, can you make it through the day? Or are you having trouble making it through the day, you know?
Exactly. I think it's a huge topic. I mean,
I
we
know.
could totally go another like 40 minutes on it probably. So what truth or scripture carried you through your darkest moments?
I think all who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved is one that I continually go back to because, like I said, I had problems with like legalistic thoughts and I still do. We're like following the law instead of having a relationship. and I know I've called on the name of the Lord. I know that he died for me when I was still in my sin. So it wasn't like the most shameful thing in my mind that I know that I've done. In that moment, he was dying for me, not when I realized, oops, maybe I should follow after what he has for me. It was in the darkest moments, the most shameful acts, the most shameful things. That those moments is when he decided to die for me, not when I got out of that, right? And so it reminds me to think of I'm I'm talking to him. I'm calling on Jesus. Like I'm calling on him to forgive me, to save me. He's going to. It's
Mhm.
not that is where I have to put my faith in, not myself, because I'm tempted all the time to put it in myself and it doesn't work. So it would be all who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved was one that has carried me and continually even now helps me to remember, okay, you have called on his name. He doesn't abandon you. Like he will be there. So
Right. I love that. Is there anything else that you would love to share with my audience?
I would say just to keep going wherever you are in your journey and realize that what you're caught up in isn't your identity. That's not actually who you are. It's not who God has made you to be. God has made you to be clear minded and have a connection with Him that's better than any of the substitutes that we try to get on earth. But it is a journey. So you do have to seek Him out. You do have to talk to Him. And that's why I say, like, no matter what happens, keep talking to him. In your darkest moment, talk to him. In when you feel like you're doing really great, talk to him. It's not conditional based upon when you decide to do this, when you decide to do that. It's like you said, the relationship. So talk to him would be my advice.
It's a really good one. It's a really good one. I really appreciate you being here. And so they can find you on In the Rough with Angie on Spotify.
Yes. And then I'm on Instagram and Threads I got on as well. And then, yeah, YouTube, Angie Montanez is my YouTube channel.
I probably would have
So
botched your last name if I tried to
oh,
say it again.
no.
It's like everybody pronounces my last name Melon, and I'm like, it's not Melon, but whatever, I don't
How
care.
do you pronounce it?
Moline.
Malene?
Yeah, Moline. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I just stopped correcting people like probably a year after I got married. I was like,
Just let it be.
exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you, Angie, for sharing. And I mean, you're gonna impact so many people with your journey or your testimony and sharing God's word. I think it's very powerful and this world definitely needs it.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'm not perfect, so
None of us are.
yeah, it's all him and not following other people.
Yeah.
Follow him is just all it is.